everyone. How you doing out there? Well, we have an interesting topic tonight. Actually, this topic was requested a couple months ago. Was it? I'm not sure who it was. Who requested it? It might have been Jay requested it. But this is for some people. This is very, very sensitive, and for others, they're kind of thick-skinned and they, whatever. But it's something we all need. There are a lot of aspects to this we need to consider, and so let me step back up here, and we're gonna say hi to everybody. First one in was RG Homestead, followed by Michael 58. Then Learn to Survive. All right, those are the only ones that made comments so far. I'm hoping that Kaylin Strain will join us up here. I sent her an invite with the link because I would definitely like to get her perspective on it, being Muslim, and that way, she could share a lot with all of us. Open our minds to things to consider. So let's go ahead and move over and bring this back up here. And so, generally speaking, a lot of stuff what I deal with here is talking about in emergency situations, disasters, whatever. Hey, Kraken, how you doing? But one of the things to consider is this is something that goes on. Coping with it is something you can do anytime. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a disaster going on. Example is, see, my son now is 20. So that was 12 years ago. On Christmas evening, my mom passed away. She had just been in the house, she had an apartment in the back of our property in California. She'd been in the house, went out, was out there for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, call on the phone, I need help. And what happened, she had a bicuspid valve all her life, but I'm not sure exactly the medical term for it, but basically there's fluid building up around her heart. And we've been trying for 6 months to get her an appointment with a heart specialist. And the first doctor we went to blew us off saying, "No, there's nothing wrong. Went back to finally about 3 weeks before this, got an appointment with a specialist. He goes, a first year intern could have seen this. And he made an appointment, and however, the appointment was 2 weeks into January, but she passed away on Christmas evening. And so we really weren't ready for her to pass away, like that. But there are some, if you everyone checks with your friends stuff, everyone's going to find that someone has an unusual death thing. Like I said, my mom died on Christmas. My dad died on Father's Day. One of my nephews died on someone else's birthday. So there's things just, you never can tell when it's going to happen, what's going to happen. It doesn't have to be in a disaster. And one of the things I've learned is that you've got to have mentally prepared that it's going to happen to everyone. Two things inevitable: death and taxes.
Well, you can skip one of them. You'll wind up in jail, but you can skip one of those.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's going to happen. Nobody gets. I can't remember who said it. And it was a great line from one of the movies. He goes, "Nobody gets out of this world alive." So, and that's the way it is.
Not true. There's been two: Enoch and one other.
Well, actually, okay. One other died and came back and got out of the world. But
no. There's been two.
Oh, actually, it's been more than that.
No, in the Christian faith.
Yeah, more.
No, there's only two.
The city of Enoch.
According to the Bible, There's only
Mm,
two that have ever walked this planet and been taken to heaven and have never returned to face the first death.
right. Well, actually, the city of Enoch was taken because it was so perfect.
No, only two people,
Yeah,
Enoch himself
yeah.
and Elijah. Both were
Crack,
taken to heaven.
yeah. Kraken says screw taxes. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, Lazarus actually
He died.
came back, and
No, Lazarus never. Lazarus was only temporarily interned.
right.
He did die on earth. He
Yeah.
did not
Later on.
ascend to heaven without
Yeah.
dying the first death.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
Hey, Cody.
moving on a little bit.
Sorry, I lied.
So we need to, you just need to think about it, prepared about it. One thing I have noticed when I was working with law enforcement, dealing with people that dealing with death and stuff, those that were of a religious background and looked at it as them returning to our Father in heaven fared better than those that they no longer exist. They're just totally gone. That's it. There's nothing left of them. And those that didn't have any sort of faith rooted in it in an afterlife. Hey, Courtney. So whatever, but I did meet a couple of people that were well rooted, and even though they weren't religious or anything, but they expected it. They had prepared themselves for losing family members and not being able to, it just happening and not being able to deal with it. And so they were a little bit more less freaked out than some of the others were. But one of the things I did find interesting is when you have that those that had family members around when someone passed had an emotional support, even though they were all traumatized by the loss, they had an emotional support that carried them through. Whereas someone off on their own really didn't have the support and was at a loss of what to do, and because there was no one there to help support them. So what I'm trying to say is, you're trying to beat around the bush and do is, if you are religious, sink yourself into your religion, really study your religion beforehand so you know what your religion actually teaches as far as an afterlife, resurrection, whatever it is. I know Uncle Al mentioned before the screen that before we started about Buddhism, and you got Islam, Hinduism, and there's the Native Americans have a really neat perspective on it, that their spirit returns to the earth and they become part of this, the great circle of life, as you will. So let's see. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that people that you think are strong will suddenly just melt down on you, and others you think are going to be the ones becoming basket case turn to be a solid rock because they have mentally prepared themselves beforehand and they have an anchor in their beliefs. Dave, you started to say something.
One moment.
He's checking cameras.
Yeah. Anyway, people have to remember something. Sometimes the strongest people are the most fragile because they carry the weight of virtually everybody around them on their shoulders. And for the most part, they can handle it. But sometimes something as simple as, and I don't mean no disrespect when I say simple as losing somebody in the family, that's enough to destroy them. That's enough to break them down because that's a compounding mental issue. For me, and you're going to show a slide on this a little bit. So if I'm going too far ahead, tell me to shut up. Anyway, when my mom passed away, I took care of her for the last several months of her life after we found out she was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. And all I could do is every night I prayed and said, God, I can't take the pain of this. There's no way. I have a job. I have to pay bills. I can't deal with the stress and pain that's involved in this. And when my mom passed away, I felt absolutely no pain, no remorse. And to this day, I've only had to deal with it for about 12 hours. And that was, she passed away in 2004. So for those with a religious background, for me at least, and I'll admit my faith has been shaky many times. If you ask with a sincere heart, he will grant the peace. Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah. So, on a general note, getting to the focus of what the request was for this topic when it came out, the topic that was asked was how to deal with losing family members in SHTF situation. So, CR's in the house. Hey, CR. That's creative redundancy up above us in the land to the north.
Now, you folks want to have a real fun time? Work the church phone lines for this subject. Every day for the last month, I've been handling every kind of panic you would not believe. That's why I look so crappy.
So one of the things in a HSTF disaster, Tawaki, whatever you want to call it, situation, where there's a partial or total collapse of governmental and political, sociological, whatever, for a while, where it could be a month or 3 months or a year, whatever it is, where things are really gone down the basket, you may not be able to get a funeral home to handle it. And how are you going to do it? Are you going to, just go out in the backyard and dig a hole? Well, there's some information that I was doing some research on this for you guys, and I came up with found out about this state by state home burial regulations. The green states on there allow home burial without a funeral director. The state, okay, we're talking state laws now, not county, not parish, not city. The yellow is allow home burials with a funeral director involved. And those are Nebraska, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Alabama, and Louisiana. And there's 3 states that say they do not allow home burials: Washington, California, Indiana. Now, I know California's been taken to court and has granted exceptions because they don't want it overturned. So at the 11th hour, they grant an exception before it gets overturned in court for it. But then
Gil, did you freeze?
Yep.
Yep, Gil frozen. Okay, you have anything to say, Dave?
I'm back. Am I back?
Sort
Yeah.
of, kind of.
Sort of.
Your voice is back. Your face isn't.
Okay, let me do. Oh yeah, it's the it's saying it's lost the thing with this camera here. So you can still hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let me go ahead and bring something else here up real quick here. With this, I went and let me pull this over first. So I Googled bury your family members in your backyard and came up with a lot of different things here. I'm going to go to this website on this first one here because they talk about it. Very knowledgeable company on it. But I noticed some of the other questions here. The people ask, is it okay to bury a dog in your backyard? Is it okay, or can a person be buried in their own property in India? can you bury someone in your backyard in Australia? How many feet do you bury somebody?
6.
And there's a whole bunch of questions, and then there's more. You just look down. There's other ones that go bury laws by state, and all these different things. But when I went to this one here, this is Rome Monuments. That's the name of the company, Rome Monuments. And let me grab this. I'm going to throw this in the comment section here. This is the link for it. See if it takes it. Okay, it's putting it out there. And it talks about the, later on, even when you move from your home burial site, state laws, state by regulations, talks about maintaining your home gravesite memorial, stuff like that. But you scroll down here, it does go state by state by state. Yes, no. Local casket required, Arizona, no. Casket required, or as I say, funeral director required, Alaska, no. Check local zoning laws, yes. They give all sorts of information on everything here. And it's California says no, except with special permit, all because of people challenging it in court. But you go through all the different ones that have all the extra information down here. Some have more bullet points than others because they have a lot more laws. But you go through all the ones, all the states, they have a lot of information. California, of course, has all the most crap in it. But yeah, and I'm still frozen here. So let me go back here to you guys here. Actually, let me just go ahead and take that down. I'm going to try something here, guys. Go on without me for a minute.
Okay.
Go for it, Dave.
Go for it.
Okay. For you people who you can go on Google. Also, I recommend this book. That's when Dave says everything goes kaplooey. This is by Cody Lundeen. He has a section in the book on dealing with dead bodies. Be sure you document like hell where you bury it, who you're burying it, and make sure you document everything. If you have a working camera or phone, take photos. Because after everything calms down, you don't want to be like, hey, there's like 4 or 5 dead bodies in your backyard. Can you tell me what happened here? And if you don't bring up what happened, how they died, the authorities tend to get a little upset. You want to estimate time of death, cause of death, and all circumstances that leads to the authority to piece together what happened. If you cannot prove this or access photos or anything, you will be committing a crime. So I recommend getting this book, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just good, dealing with the level of runaway bureaucracy. Hey, Kaylin's here.
Kaylin's here.
The runaway bureaucracies and the egos involved with local public servants who think they're public leaders. It's always good to cover your six with as much documentation as you can. But the next, let's see, go to the next one here. So, as with any type of preparedness, even just general food preparedness, supplies, everything else, you need to develop get mentally prepared for whatever it is you're preparing for. Whether, I'm preparing for tornadoes, or I'm preparing for floods, or I'm preparing for earthquakes, or I'm preparing for the next general election. Whatever.
Stupid idiot drug people who shoot people.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, you've got to start being mentally prepared. And most preppers do not think about losing family members. They read all these novels, these books and stuff where the hero, dodges 40,000 bullets and kills off 10 people with 5 shots and, does all these amazing things and stuff. and never loses a member of their group or whatever. And that's,
Bringing that up, I hate to interrupt, but if you all haven't, and mind you, I'm going to plug somebody I don't 100% agree with, but he is a decent person to a degree. Go check out Prepper X's audiobooks. He did a really nice job on them, and I don't have the link handy, but what the heck was it called? Just go look up Prepper X and some of his videos. He's got links to his audio series. That's some really good stuff, and it's actually more realistic than what you get from a lot. Hey, Broussard, what you get from a lot of Hollywood types.
Yep.
Let me check one thing out here real quick. Okay, here we go. Boom. I'll get that up there. I'm looking something else up here for it. Okay.
See if I can't find it.
Yeah. All right. Let me bring this up here. I'll talk about the books and stuff. The novels that don't really give anything. So just bring it up here. This series, Forgotten Forbidden America, by Thomas A. Watson. All right, this is if you guys are going to go read it. In one of there's 6 books in the series so far. In I think it's 3 or 4, disaster happens, and the main couple in it, they got 2 kids, 3 kids, and she's pregnant with the 4th one, and the oldest boy gets shot during a family gathering and stuff. In the middle, everyone's playing tag, running around, and he gets shot by a sniper. When I was reading that blew me away. Like, dang, someone actually had part of their group get killed. This is the first novel series I read where a main character in it that everyone was loving gets killed. And the remarks and comments that I read from it on online and stuff, some of the people were really PO'd at the author for having the kid get killed. But he drove, and his thing was, hey, you don't know who's going to die in real life, when, where, or how. There's nothing here saying that my characters are Superman, that they are impervious to kryptonite. And so it's one of those things is that you can't go on thinking like life is going in a disaster is going to turn out like in the books, where your group is going to be untouched by death. Now, where am I here? So when that happens is, you got to figure out, what are we going to do with the body? And, like that's what we're talking about, finding out ahead of time if your state allows backyard burials, home burials, what you got to do to go through it, and what happens. You definitely got to mark the graves. Now, this one here, I found this photo here, this online. This is where some people bought a house. There was a gardens out back, and when they started digging, they hadn't been worked for a while, and they started going out to take care of it, and they found all sorts of headstones in the garden area. Not a proper way to maintain a home cemetery. This is the proper way to maintain a home cemetery. This is one. This one was down in Alabama. They have it all marked out, and everyone comes see Grandma at this one.
Sorry, folks. Sometimes I mix up Dustin with Matt. They sound alike, and I get
Yeah.
mixed up. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'm old. I have 2 strokes on me.
Hey,
I have trouble remembering my niece's names. They're all Japanese, so try remember that. I have a lot of nieces.
Yeah.
Gil,
Yeah.
I put it in the private chat because I don't have access to normal chat at the moment. The link to, and it's called Cyber Nuke Stories. That's the one from Prepper X. So if you
All
want to
right.
drop that in the
Let's see if
comments
I
for me,
can.
please. He's got a couple
tab.
different book series in there already. They're definitely, if you're bored and need some background noise, they will definitely keep your mind occupied.
Okay, so there's that, and go back to here, and come on, do it right here. Come on.
Bad Gil.
No, it's not allowing me. There, now it's allowing me to copy it. It wouldn't allow me to copy it at first. Comments and paste. And all right, there's the link. And that's to this right here. Welcome to the Cyber Nuke Story channel. And so, yeah.
Like I said, if you need something to listen to, he has done an excellent job. And he is well, let's just say he likes working hand in hand with the ABC groups. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go into the full detail of what he does because that's his business. But as far as knowledge, I've found very few other people that have the amount of knowledge that he has, and he's put some of it on the Prepper X channel. Most of it's now held on their Discord channel, and he's put a lot of that information and knowledge that he has into these stories. So it's all audio. It's not, there's no video to it. It's all audio. So you can put it on and listen to it in the background. Thank you.
And this, sure thing, Dave. And this headstone reminds us that we have pioneer heritage here in the United States, and you never can tell when you're going to come across old burial spots. There are plenty of graves and stuff that were out along the Oregon Trail and the California Trail, and of course, California's big one was I just lost
Gold
it.
Rush.
No,
Gold Rush. Wasn't
no,
it
no,
Gold
no,
Rush?
no. The Donner Party.
Right.
Yeah.
I won't show you that book, folks. That's a different subject. We won't go into that.
Yeah. So, there are disasters can strike within disasters or during everyday life. Losing someone can strike any time. So, I'll probably take us back here. The interesting thing to consider and remember is that no one knows the minute of their passing.
It could happen right now while we're alive.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was just going to comment with it. Don't they usually put something above the ground, like a tomb or something? And trying to backtrack
You mean
that
a
one.
crypt?
Yeah.
Those are expensive, Courtney. My family has 2 crypts here, one in America and one in Japan. They ain't cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, the concrete vaults can come apart in floods and stuff.
You can see evidence of that down there in Louisiana back when
Katrina
went through. Yeah, Katrina. There was a lot of cemeteries that had people floating. What
was actually surprising is everybody forgets the hurricane that came afterwards, Rita.
Yeah.
Actually caused more
damage.
cemetery damage than Katrina did. But
Grandma and grandpa floating by your house. That's great.
But yeah, there's a lot of things to consider when you go to dig the get the slide back here. When you go to dig the grave, several things we talked about, sanitation in some of our other live streams. but you ought to have to consider sanitation when you're creating your burial spots, to make sure it's downstream from where you get your water from, that it's down stream from the garden areas, that it's away from it, basically, so that the decomposing body doesn't contaminate the groundwater, garden soil, anything else like that you need.
Right. We're talking about cholera and typhoid are the biggest two.
Yeah.
Because body fluids are very dangerous. Dave has a good section on that, how to wrap people up. If you contact with it, wash immediately with hot soapy water and wear gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking just the doggone little teeny ones that come to here. You need to wear full forearm type gloves.
Yeah. And one of the things also we were talking about beforehand, that if you have a family member that is sick, that is looking like they're going to pass away, Dave actually came up with recommended this. Was that you?
Not my recommendation. It is a standard protocol. It's an SOP for especially austere environments. If you are running a medical type facility in grid down situations, for the mattress, you wrap it in visqueen, you envelop it. So there's no, if fluids run off the sides, they can't get into the mattress. Then you put what they call a pee pad, one of them thick moisture absorbing pads. On top of that, then you put your bedding. That way, if something should happen, should somebody pass away and they expel bodily fluids or blood, you're not losing the mattress itself. You can pull the visqueen off, you roll everything up in that visqueen, you bury it or burn it, and start the process all over again.
Yeah. And if you happen to have if you're in a SHTF Milwaukee situation and things have gone really downhill and there is, I don't want to say constant battles going on, and you've set up an infirmary, all the beds in the infirmary should be set up that way. Dustin says, I say go with a funeral pyre and someone could marshmallows. Oh, okay,
Dustin, being a Buddhist.
He's joking. I know.
Okay, I'm a Buddhist and I know cremation. Open air cremation takes 5 hours and you have to stroke it with hard wood, not pine, because if you put pine in there, like everybody's sniffing around the neighborhood, hey, who's barbecuing? No, you want hardwood so you get a proper pyre. And it has to be at, I forget, 1,500 or 1,100 degrees heat so the body consumes itself.
Yeah.
If not, you're going to have every dog, bear, coyote coming to your residence like, where's the barbecue? I smell long pig. So you want to really cremate the corpse.
Yes,
yeah.
The heat is what's the important part, because it needs to pretty much engulf itself, and that includes every bone. Bones take a lot to burn.
Right.
And it's at least 1,500 degrees. I'd have to look it up again. I used to know this stupid little details like this.
Yeah.
I think it was 1,500, Dave.
I think so.
But yeah, if you do some research and look at for historic funeral pyres, I'll get my tongue untied here. They stack the wood at least 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it's extremely thick. I mean, it's not just throwing a bunch of stuff at it. It's stacked like you would stack a wood pile that you put outside of your house for your wood burning. It is stacked. It's in a very orderly stacked manner. So there's virtually very little air in between each piece of wood. So as it burns, it maintains its heat and actually it develops a hotter bed of coals, maintaining the proper temperature.
Right. You want to cause the wicking effect. That's the body fat of the cremation going into the coals, putting back heat up again.
Yeah. So that's one way of doing it. If you have the resources of the wood to get. Some places like here where I'm at, there's we got two big trees on the property, and we're not cutting those down to make a funeral pyre.
Well, then you better go get yourself a couple of cord of wood.
I got
Yeah.
myself a backhoe.
Yeah, backhoe's a lot easier, Dave.
Yeah.
Well,
I can dig
I'm
down 8
surrounded
feet.
by-
I can dig down 8 feet with that backhoe.
I'm surrounded by trees. I can make me a nice little pyre.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
shape I'm in, I'm not digging a 6-foot hole.
Okay.
Pyre and call it good.
All right. Kaylin's so remember when Gandhi was cremated, his
It's the daughter.
pyre. Yeah, her pyre. Oh, the daughter was fire, and the fire fed until they kept feeding wood onto the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, oak, black walnut, red oak, tan oak, eucalyptus burns really hot.
Ironwood burns. Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And there are certain pines. No, I'm not talking about the firs and stuff. I'm talking about the real hardwood pine, like the naughty white pine. That stuff is hot. Man, I've never seen anything burn so hot as that
When it
stuff
comes
does.
when it comes to pines, you want the ones that produce the resin that smells like turpentine, your red pine, your white pine. Those
Yeah.
burn extremely hot. The problem is they will burn extremely fast as well because of
Right.
what's impregnated in the wood.
Yeah. And if you so probably what works best is to mix your woods. If you have some of those red or white pines, mix it in there, and that gets your pyre going quicker, heats up your other woods and get it going.
and don't do it halfway, folks, because like Dave says, bones take longer to burn. So after the cooling point, a lot of Eastern religions like Buddhism, we scrape the bones, put it in the ground for a year, then dig them up, and then pound it with hammers, then burn it again.
Yeah.
You know, I'm part Shinto Buddhist, so I got to remember this stuff.
Yeah. So the main point of this is there are also some great self-help books out there you can get, but think about it, plan for it.
Expect
Expect it.
Yeah, it's not a maybe if that could possibly. No, it's gonna happen. Be it immediately to you or somebody you know, but it's going to happen. Whether the situation's a 6-month, it might be one of your neighbors that you're helping take care of. 2-3 years down the road, it will be one of your family members.
Yeah.
Right.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. There's no way to get around it. So start mentally preparing yourself. Read the books that will help you understand the grieving process. Because once you understand what the grieving process is, it makes it easier for you to deal with it when you have to deal with it. Don't go into it like a boxer into a ring with a blindfold on, not knowing where his opponent is.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get knocked out.
And the more you know, the more you can help others around you deal with it as well.
Knowledge is power.
Yep. Like Dave says, and like Gil says, folks, if you want to see a kind of hinky kind of Hubble's cat did a mock funeral for Kitty in case she dies from the red dragon. It's a video, you can check it out and how to wrap it, and it does exactly the same as Dave, but I wouldn't put dead bodies near the curb for public pickup. Sorry.
Excuse me. No. Do not advertise. Especially in a grid down situation, do not advertise that you have lost people. Because there are those who, with nefarious intentions, who will say, oh, gee, they just lost another one. Now the numbers are thinner. Now we have a chance.
Or worse, you might get ghouls. And we won't go into that subject either.
Yeah. So I'm just looking it up here. So that Charles Franklin is credited as being the one that developed the quote, no one gets out of this life alive. So, all right, folks. I know this is, we're not going really long tonight because this is a, There's only
touchy subject.
only so much we can say on the subject. You know,
Hey, we got 20 minutes yet. You want to hit that subject I thought about earlier?
which one was that?
Similar to the live stream I did on the supply chain.
Oh, the
Sure.
trucking. Yeah,
Sure,
that's a
sure.
good one.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Oh, another book I would recommend. They also tells the people who survive a nuclear attack how to wrap up your formerly living people.
can you pull that link off the Facebook page, Gil? If not, I can try and do it.
When did you post it on Facebook?
A couple days ago. Here, I'll go get it. I'll just
All
have to
right.
put it in private chat.
Yeah.
But folks, if y'all remember a while back, I did a live stream on the supply chain, and here recently there's been a lot of activity of, come on computer, truckers talking about stopping, and I'm trying to get my computer to cooperate here, and it's not doing a very nice job. But well, it does that. The truckers are actually talking about, and I know of a few that will be stopping their trucks no matter where they're at. They've already told their bosses. The bosses said, if you do, you're fired. And they said, you. I won't use the vernacular they use, but they did use one. And yeah, there is a lot of drivers out there talking about, here it is, I found it. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be too long to post.
Hi, Hardtack. Is it Hardtack or Hardknack Farms?
All right, there you go, Gil. It's in private.
Hard neck. Okay, so.
But there is a lot of companies that are talking about it as well. If only 1% of the American trucks stop for 24 hours, the ripple felt across this country will be immense. If 10% stop, now mind you, on the road, there is an average of 180 to 300,000 trucks running every single day. Okay, it may sound weird numbers to you, but trust me, the numbers are up there. So then during peak times, like what we're fixing to come into, with all the extra holiday shipments and everything, there are some companies that put on extra drivers, like the Postal Service, FedEx, UPS, Confreight, just to name a couple, that will hire 50, 60% more drivers to handle the freight. So like coming up into the middle of December, there could be as many as 500,000 trucks on the road. Now what's 1% of 500,000?
5,000.
Okay. We'll feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're a little off.
500,000.
1%.
It would be 5,000. Because 10% would be 50,000. 50,000. But yeah, if you get 5,000 trucks, main delivery trucks, that feed Walmart, Costco, Sam's, stop. It's a domino effect because
trucks stop. And guess which ones are the most that are talking about it are the ones that deliver fuel, food, non-perishable types. We're already seeing again the hit on the stores for toilet paper. My Walmart's out. I was there yesterday and they have none.
Yeah, someone else was commenting. I saw on Facebook, their place, they got the last jumbo pack of toilet paper their store had.
So like I said back in end of February, March, I told y'all there was going to be a second wave. And I explained back during that live stream talking about the supply chain that if it happens and truckers start stopping again, we had a mild case of it back in March where a bunch of trucks did stop. But that was because they couldn't get fuel. They couldn't get no food for their bellies. They couldn't take clean showers because truck stops were closed. Okay, now they're talking, you know what? We ain't going to wait for that to happen this time. And the Stop the Wheels is scheduled for the 29th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it says as of now, the word is November 29th.
they're projecting if everybody follows through, all the unions, and there are unions talking about it. They're talking as much as 22% of the American trucks actually stopping for 24 hours.
Mhm.
There are other groups, they are, well, I hate to use the word, but they're fringe groups of truckers that are actually talking about doing another roll on Washington, D.C. The problem is, if y'all remember the movie Convoy,
Mhm.
that was inspired by real events. When that event actually happened, the U.S. government passed a law prohibiting convoys. It is against the law now for truckers to run in a convoy of such. You have to maintain a certain distance between each vehicle. You cannot have X number of vehicles, and I'm not going to go into details right now, y'all can look it up, in a line. Now, over the course of several hours, if you've got 25 people going the same direction to the same state, you're going to have a long line of trucks. I've been part of a few. But they have to maintain a certain distance so they're not considered a convoy because it is a felony. And it's not a little one. The fines are huge, which is why most truckers nowadays put their foot to the floor with the fuel pedal buried underneath it. And they go as fast as they can when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
But your issue is, even if only a few thousand trucks stop, and they're talking, they're trucks that just bring food to distribution centers like at Walmart, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King. These are distribution trucks that are talking about stopping. It's not the inline trucks. It's not the guys that come from Walmart's warehouse to the Walmart store. We're talking the guys that pick it up in bulk at the manufacturer and bring it to the distribution centers. Those are the guys that are talking about stopping. That is when you're going to see the biggest hit. And if it happens, you better have everything you need right now because you won't get it. And it, like I told you the last time, it'll take upwards of 2 weeks from the 29th. So a projection probably December 10th, 12th, you'll probably feel it in your area if the truckers that are talking about stopping actually stop. Now, if they don't stop, we won't see nothing. But if enough stop, it will be on mainstream media.
Yeah. And just want to, say hi to Hardnecks, Butch
Audra
Sam
just came in.
Hollow.
Yeah,
Audra's here from homesteading in Idaho.
hey, Sam.
So
Remember, folks, go ahead, Gil.
yeah. So yeah. As far as supplies and stuff going, I'm trying to think of the way to do this without getting in trouble.
Have fun with that.
The best way is, if you're not stocked up, stock up. All right, I at Costco today, the 12-pack of the jumbo rolls of Bounty paper towels that 3 months ago was it $17.99, was $20.99 today, and it was limit one per customer, and they had about 50 pallets out there of it, but only one per customer, and it's a new Costco store, so, and the lines are not that busy in there, so yet, because they don't have, people are still buying memberships and stuff here in Idaho Falls. So there are certain things to look at.
Yeah,
the interesting
correct. Not to interrupt. Go ahead, and then I'll hit Kraken's comment.
go ahead. What's Kraken's comment?
He's talking about freight prices, and for those, I can explain that for those who don't know.
Okay. All right. Something else I did pick up here today, interesting, is this was $10 for 3 pounds shredded meat. Yes, it's a product of Brazil, but Brazil does have some good quality beef down there. But the expiration date on it, July 2022. So a year and a half on this fully cooked 3 pounds of beef, shredded beef. There are some good buys out there, stuff to get. Um, so, yeah. So, all right, go ahead and talk about the what
All right.
Crack said about freight prices.
And yes, I have toilet paper. Just don't tell nobody. Anyway, Kraken, back to your comment. And for those who don't understand, when he refers to freight prices, all right, let's say I'm still driving a truck. I am down in Dallas, Texas, and I just want to leave the area I'm going. I go to a truck stop. I look at what is called a call board, and it's got brokers listing freight and where it's going. And usually, most of them offer a starting price. Now, for the average truck, now mind you, I've been out for 10 years, so, and I know the averages went up. Back when I left, to break even, for the truck to make no profit, the driver to not make profit for the run, was 78 cents a mile at current fuel prices back 10 years ago. I'm going to assume, seems how I've been in it, the average load needs to pay at least $1 a mile now currently with our current fuel prices for the truck just to break even. Okay. I know of very few freight companies that are pushing out loads that pay $1 a mile. Okay. But let's just use my example. I'm in Dallas. I want to leave Dallas, and let's say I want to head back to Michigan. 1,300-mile trip. Detroit, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, somewhere in that range. I go up to the call board and I look and see, okay, I'm in Dallas, no Michigan. So I call my broker friends, and I still have quite a few. Come up and say, hey, I'm down here in Dallas. I'm looking to go no more than 100 miles for pickup, and I need to head back to Michigan, Detroit, anywhere along the bottom part of the state. That gives me a 1,300-mile range. For 1,300 miles, I have to only fuel up one time. I could fuel up in Dallas as long as I'm not fully loaded and drive straight through to Michigan without having to stop and buy fuel. Technically, there are other things that you have to worry about. But let's just, 1,300 miles. So I need, at bare minimum, for the truck to break even, for the driver to break even, to make no profit, that load has to pay a minimum of $1,300. Unfortunately, most loads coming out of Dallas going to Michigan only pay on the average between $850 and $900. So that's what he means by freight prices being low. The truck is going in debt to get from one state to another. And it's usually a heavy load. Coming up out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Mejia, some of the places down there, you'll pick up at paper plants. And it's usually rolled paper. And it's 44 to 46,000 pounds of roll paper in the back of your truck. You take it up to another paper mill where they process it into paper bags, cardboard, toilet paper, whatever. So being that heavy, you're going to end up burning more fuel, which means you have to stop and buy fuel. So you're going even further and further into debt. That's what he means by freight prices. I hope I didn't over-explain that.
Yeah, and Dave, don't forget on damages to the wheels and brakes. If something happens to the maintenance.
That $1 a mile. That's included in that $1 a mile.
Okay. Okay, let me show for our commercial break. There's Gil's channel. And
which you're at right now.
And there's Old School Prepper and Palmetto Prepared. Thank you for a commercial break.
Yeah. All right.
At least it's not Biden.
Biggest Democrats ever nominated.
Okay. Anyways, all right. So this coming Friday, on the Friday night special, we're talking about, are you ready for winter? Things that a lot of people forget to do in prepping for winter. Things that they should be doing around the house and the homestead to get ready for winter. And then next Tuesday, on Tactical Tuesday, hey, are you ready for Thanksgiving? So, yeah, those are the next two top live streams coming up there.
Are you ready for the week of Thanksgiving? I'm going to dive back into my fantasy world of World of Warcraft for probably a week.
I got 5 turkey logs I got to figure out to cook.
I'm not cooking except just normal food.
Yeah.
Charles' school kicked him out of school for 2 extra. Well, they didn't kick him out. They extended the Turkey Day vacation 2 extra days for deep
Well, that's
cleaning
good.
of the school because they have now had 6 confirmed cases of the red dragon at my son's school.
Yeah. Well, speaking of red dragon, here's let's see if I pull it up here real quick. If I still have it here, hang on. Shoot, I don't think I've updated it on this page. So I'm as of Friday the 13th. So ending last Friday, the 7 days before it had a grand total, all 7 days, 1,007,960 new cases added in 7 days.
We got
Every one of those days was over. I mean, Friday the 13th itself had 192,610 new cases on Friday the 13th.
We have a question from Butch, which I
Butch.
can answer, but I'm sure you can too.
You put 500 gallons of water, put water in my 500 gallon water, and it freezes.
Will it ruin the tank?
It depends how it freezes in the tank. If it expands out and splits the side, yes. If you're lucky and expands up and you have air gap in there, yeah, you might get lucky.
Okay, the biggest thing I would personally do if this was me and I had such property and the ability to do so, I would find me a backhoe and I would bury the tank 6 feet deep, no less than 2 feet below your frost line, no less.
Mm-hmm.
So if your frost line is 18 inches, then 2 feet below that is the top of your water tank.
Yeah.
And I
Now
would bury it. Now, when you go to fill it, do not fill it to capacity. Go ahead, go.
Yeah. Butch, check. Go over to Martin. Oh, geez, up north of you, up there. Martin something or other channel. Can't think of his last name. He on his tank, he surrounded it with bales of straw to keep it from freezing. Mm-hmm. Basically, bales of straw piled all the way around it, up on top of it, and then put a tarp over it to trap heat and keep it from freezing.
Another thing you could do, Butch, is put a water heater in it. It's electrical. It's for cattle use only. You can't use it for human. Yeah. You put it through the opening, and it has a waterproof cord, goes all the way to the meter of the pump house and everything, and it will keep the tank at a certain temperature. Only problem is you have to have that little, Dave, what they call those little doohickeys once the temperature hit a certain level?
It's a thermal cutoff.
Right. Yeah. But Dave says, and when it gets too cold, the tank gets warm.
Yeah. And Audra says if you wrap the tank with reflective wrap, it helps as well. The Butcher says 42-inch minimum for frost zone.
Reflectix. Now the thing with wrapping it, if you use Reflectix and then hay bales, you're defeating your purpose. Hay bales would generate their own heat.
Yeah.
Okay. If you put enough of them together, they will generate their own heat. If you go to a barn, and especially in northern Michigan or in some extremely cold climates like Maine, Maryland, up in that area, Vermont, in the wintertime, and some barns that hold a lot of hay bales, especially the small square ones, you'll see steam coming out of them because they maintain their heat and they actually generate a little bit of heat on their own. So I would not use Reflectix and hay bales both. I would use only the one. Now, if you put hay bales up and put it, stack it nice and bury it, and then put something reflective on the outside of that will also help. But do not put Reflectix next to the tank and then the hay around it because you're going to defeat your purpose.
Yeah.
And on hay, be careful, folks. In the summertime, it's not advisable because I've seen too many big hail bales stacked wrong. And Dave, tell them what happens when you stack green hay.
Like I just said, it generates its own heat. It will spontaneously combust.
Yeah. The also, Butch, Heath at Red Poppy Ranch, he has, I think, 1,500-gallon tanks. What he did is he just built a shed around it and then put the stone, stone insulation matting stuff in there to insulate it. And his last year did not freeze, so it was able to keep it up, and it was all above ground as well.
Right.
We're hitting the
worried
7 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
If you're worried about something freezing and you're not exactly sure how to prevent it, go do yourself a small favor, because it will stick with you for a long time, and go take a very quick, and you can even do it on YouTube, a thermodynamics seminar where they talk about thermal properties. It sounds boring as hell right now. Gee, I don't want to go watch that. Trust me, you will learn a lot, and you will put it to use almost immediately on a farm or a homestead. Once you understand how certain temperatures affect other things, it makes it'll open your eyes.
Yeah. The Harbor Freight has their new heavy duty tarps that are black on one side, and I think they're silver reflective on the other side. That you want to put one of those over your hay bale so the black side's out, so it absorbs the heat from the sun. So that's the other thing to do on that. And yep, folks, we've hit the 8 o'clock hour, so we're gonna slide out of here, and just want to say to everybody, remember, stay happy, mentalness, stay happy, stay prepared, stay safe, and we will see you next time around.